Right, let's set up the machine to work on the FS180. All of the Brother FS machines will work exactly the same as this. So before I turn the machine to work with the end table, I'm going to set the machine up. I've got it set onto straight stitch, and I want the centre straight stitch, so on this machine it's number 2. And that brings it over into the centre of the foot that would originally be on your machine. But because we've got a generic foot on, we need to bring the needle over a couple of dips. So I'm using the zigzag width there, and I'm going to move it over 2 tips, and that will put the needle into the centre of the foot. Okay, I've dropped the feed, and notice that I have the extension table on. It must be on to work with the end table. So drop the feed, set your tension, and I'm putting the top tension up 2 numbers. Each machine is different, but I start at 2 numbers and work my way up or down dependent on what sort of stitch I want underneath. Usually I like a balanced stitch. So feed dogs are down, attachment case is on, straight stitch, setting, tension. Now I'm going to turn my machine. There we go. I'm going to turn my machine so that I'm going to be working end on. Okay. Now when you get your end table, it'll come with 4 bolts with caps on in the bag. I've put 2 of them on. These are the legs. So we're going to screw them into the holders. Don't screw them all the way down, just screw them as far as until they're nicely engaged. Okay, preferably so that they've come through the base, the bottom of there, and you're sort of in a medium setting. Now we're going to turn this over and present it. Now then we introduce our insert, and the insert has got an arrow that sits in there and an indent that sits on that arrow. So place it in there. Now I want you to be careful when you're setting this. I don't want this to be raised up over the top. I want it to be neat to the edge of the machine, and you can see that I've nearly got it right on the heights. That's just a little bit low, so I need to bring the screws up to get that level. Excuse if my head gets in the way just while I screw that one screw there. So now when I run my hand there, that's nice and smooth. Here I need to bring them down a tad, because this machine slopes slightly at the front, which is now the right hand side. Okay, and bring it down. There we go. Once you've set it, it's ready. Okay, so now we've got a nice smooth area all the way around. I'm going to put my slip mat on, and that takes care of all the joins there. And notice that I've nuzzled the table up against the left hand side and on the L shape there. That gives me my L. Doesn't matter about that little gap there, because the mat is going to cover that. So put your mat on. Okay. Bring your thread up from the bottom, because at the moment it's stuck underneath the mat and we need it free to stitch. Right, we've now got all of this area here to support our fabric beautifully. I'm going to do a line of hearts, a border of hearts. Put Put your foot down into the channel and feed the fabric and the ruler together as one, and stitch around the shape all the way to the end of the table, the end of the channel, sorry. Bring it round. Don't worry about going 200 miles an hour. Get used to the feel of the fabric and the ruler together. Slide the ruler along. See how easy that is. You're not up against any edges. Although this is a narrow machine, you've still been able to manipulate the ruler. Bring it down all the way to the end of the pattern. And this gives you the most amazing heart border, what I call a flat heart border, because each heart is in the same position, the same distance, and it's going in a nice regimented little line, and each of your curves and each of your straight lines is consistent. Come to the end of the line there. I'm just going to finish that heart off, put your scroll lines on and stitch around. All of my fabric is under control. I'm just going to bring the needle up. It's all under control. And I'm going to slide it out. Perfect curves, perfect straight lines, without turning or marking the fabric. And because I turned the tension, the top tension up, I've got the same delightful stitches underneath. I haven't had to turn the fabric. I've got all of that to support my ruler and my fabric. We've got beveled edges on the end of the table so that it doesn't catch on your fabric, on your quilt. It's just a beautiful addition to your quilting manifesto. Enjoy.